Hi, everyone. My name is Grant Batchelder. I'm the Student Life Coordinator at Tallahassee Community College. And today we're joined by representatives of Leon, Wakulla, and Gadsden counties, as well as my SGA president, Micah. So I'm going to start with my own people. So Micah, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Micah Mitchell, and I'm the 2020 through 2021 SGA president.
And then from Leon County, we have Susie.
I'm Susie Caplowe. I'm with the Leon County Supervisor of Elections Office. I've worked for the office for 11 years counting. That's like 6 elections, this many. And I'm glad to be on this call with everybody. And I'll pop in and out when you need to hear from me. So thank you.
Thank you. And then from Gadsden, we have Kenya.
Hello, I'm Kenya Williams. I'm with Gadsden County Supervisor of Elections Office. I'm the Assistant Supervisor, and I've been with the office for 13 years.
And then finally, but not least, we have Ed from Wakulla.
Hi, my name is Ed Brimner. I am the property appraiser elect down here, which means that I've been elected to be the property appraiser, but I don't take office until January the 4th.
Congratulations, Ed. For the first thing I wanted to talk about is, and no particular order, but for each of you, why do you feel it's important that our students, which are a majority between 18 and 26, why is it important that this age get out and vote and register to vote?
Okay. Anybody's question?
Anybody's question, yeah.
Okay. I think Ed can probably shed more light than we can. but as a person that's been working in the office for 13 years, I've noticed that age group are ones that do not vote as much as those that are 40, 45 and older. Our 45 and older group, they vote. I think they understand the importance of it. But our younger group, for some reason, they really don't understand the importance of it. And I think a lot of them may hear a lot in the media. They may have heard a lot of myths and may just not have a lot of education on it, and firsthand knowledge is what would be better for them. But when it comes to voting, it is very important. Every vote that is cast in Florida counts. I can't speak for other states, but I can speak for Florida because all of us are under the same laws and rules. And every vote will count. When I looked at our last election, we had over 17,000 people that did not vote in the August primary. And I'm pretty sure if I look at the demographics of it, it would be a lot of our younger people. A lot of people wait until the presidential election, but every election that you have in your county is important. Whether it is city election, the municipal ones, those are important. You are actually electing people that make decisions for you. And if you do not vote, then you do not have an opportunity to let your voice be heard in choosing someone that make decisions for you. And the truth is, whether you vote or not, someone will have to sit there and make decisions for you. If you don't vote, you just gave up your opportunity to let your voice be heard for whoever it is that you pick. I would like to encourage the students to do research on the candidates. Call the candidates up, have a conversation with them, gather you some questions, call them and ask them the hard questions, ask them the questions that may not be so hard, and all of the questions that you want to know about that candidate, and see what it is that they have to say. Get involved in the forums. When there's a forum and candidates are asked questions on what they will do and what it is that they want to see, that's how you can make a decision on who it is that you will support based on what the answers to those questions are. Once they tell you what they want to do, you'll have an opportunity to support them because that may be something that you're interested in. So I want to just encourage the students, do some research, get involved, attend forums. Most of them are virtual now. Attend forums, gather some questions on your own, contact those candidates and ask them. And if it's a national candidate, you may not be able to contact them, but you can contact someone on their campaign and get those questions answered so that you can be involved and help select the people that will make decisions for you.
And if I could jump in before Ed, because Ed has the best story ever. But ditto what Kenya said. Elections are so important. Don't miss the opportunity when you can vote in a primary, because sometimes the contest is over in the primary and you didn't have a say in who your public defender was, or you didn't have a say in who your tax collector is, or who your school board person is. So elections, every time you have the opportunity to vote, you should. And before I was working for the Supervisor Elections Office, I was a lobbyist, and I worked for environmental and consumer groups. And I got to tell you, it matters who is making legislation, drafting up the laws that impact our lives, the air we breathe, the water we drink, how safe our clothing is, how safe the cars are. Everything is important. The judicial appointments are important. So depending on whatever your choices are in life and whatever your beliefs are, voting is important, and that is the way that you get your voice heard. Ed.
Hey, I want to thank both of the other people who both touched on something that I think is very important. One is, if you're going to vote, don't just go vote. Do the research and know who you're voting for and know why you're voting for that person. Don't listen to your mom or your dad or your friend. You have got an opportunity to learn about that person, and go learn about them and vote for that person, not just for the party. And this is especially important in local elections because, come on, local elections, party really is not that important. It's the individual and how they believe. And I encourage you to vote for the person. And someone, I think it was Susie, who talked about the election can be over in the primary. Well, I'm a perfect example of that. In my primary, there were 3 of us running for this race. We were all of the same political party. So as a result, and nobody else was running. And so as a result, this race was over in the primary. Now, because it was over in the primary, everyone got to vote in our election. So whether you were the same party as I am, you got to vote in my election because it was going to be over at the end of this. And Susie said I had a good story because I am really the poster child of why every vote is important. I won my election by 3 votes. And so that tells you that every election, every vote is important. But even more interesting is that I won the position as Wakulla County Property Appraiser, a position that establishes how taxes are going to be collected. I don't actually collect the taxes, but I'm the person who goes out and says how much each house is worth, and so as a result, it directly impacts how many taxes you or your parents or your landlord or whomever we're talking about, how much they're going to pay in taxes. It's a very, very important position. And I won this election with less than 16% of the eligible voters in Wakulla County. Now, how did that happen? That's a tremendously small number. Well, what it is, there were 3 of us. I won essentially 35% of the vote. My opponent won essentially 35% of the vote. I beat him by 3 votes. And then the third party won the rest of those votes. He won almost 25% of the vote, or over 25% of the vote. And so if you just do the math, I won the election with less than 16% of the eligible voters in Wakulla County. And this is a position that is so important for our county. and yet so few people voted. And now I'm happy I won. I think it should have been by a larger percentage, but of course. But I just can't emphasize how important it is for every person to get out there and vote in every election, especially your local elections. Your vote literally can change the election, and it's just get out there and do your research and vote.
Right.
Thank you all. Micah, what about you?
Okay. Ms. Williams, Ms. Caplowe, and Mr. Brimner, I'm sorry if I said your names wrong, but they said some very important things that I feel like everyone should take and just run with. Being a student, I understand how this may be very frustrating, or we not knowing exactly what to do or how to actually vote, but it's like running a relay. If it's you always have to start somewhere. You always have to finish somewhere. So throughout this relay, at your start, this is your time to practice, understand where to vote at, understand who you're voting for. Just check up on everything they actually want to put in place or change or bring in. This is time for you to actually practice and get an understanding of how the voting process works. I feel like once you actually get if this is your first time voting, that is amazing. But keep voting. Always vote, because whoever you vote for is the next person in place to make changes in your community. And just understand where they're coming from, because you don't want someone just being in place that you had no say-so in. This could really change a lot for your community. Just like Mr. Brimner said, your taxes, this could really change your taxes, the water in your community. So really just take the time to sit down, understand who you're voting for, call them if you have to. I'm sure they'll get back to you if they can't, and just really learn the true person they are. And on voting day, make your decision. And don't let this be your last, because this is the opportunity for you to use your voice and for you to make a change in your community and for you to make a difference. And I feel like everyone wants to make a difference. So this is something that everybody can relate in and can make a difference. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Micah. You actually brought up a great point, and the next step for us is the starting line. So what is the starting line for voting? And that brings us to what we're celebrating today. Today is National Voter Registration Day. And here in Florida, you have to be registered by, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but by October 5th, which is coming up in less than 2 weeks. And so where would they get started with that? If they haven't yet registered, if our students haven't yet registered, where would they get started?
I would say right from what they are probably holding in their hand right now, their cell phone. They can go to registertovoteflorida.gov. If they just Google Register to Vote Florida, that website will come up, and they can do it right online from anywhere. They do not have to go into an office. They do not have to leave from where they are. Right with your cell phone, you can go to registertovoteflorida.gov. And also make sure that your address is up to date. Make sure that if you need to make any changes, that you've done that. That deadline is not October 5th. You can do that anytime, even on election day. But it's just good to put that out there, that is something that they can update as well on Register to Vote Florida. So if they go to Register to Vote Florida, they can register today, any day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Great.
If I could just add to that, yes, what Ms. Williams said, that's the online voter registration application that's put in place by the State Division of Elections, and it's available, like she said, from your cell phone. You do need to have a Florida driver's license or a Florida ID and the last four of your social. That's required because that database merges with the Department of Motor Vehicle, and that is, if you're a new voter and you're registering to vote, that's the way that the Supervisor of Elections can grab your signature and have an available signature online, which is important to have. Oh, there's my kitty. Yeah. Do you want to say something? Anyway, that's important to have that signature so that if you vote by mail, we have that signature to make the match. And I'm sure we'll talk about vote by mail shortly. But yes, you get registered to vote. Every supervisor elections has a way that you could update your voter registration information on their web pages. Just go to your Google your county supervisor of elections, and every supervisor's website is great. You can surf around and find all sorts of amazing information. And it's just important, like she said, new voter deadline, October 5th. Do it now, don't wait. If there's something that's wrong and doesn't work, match for you, you have time to fix it. And you can always anticipate getting a voter information card in about 5 to 10 days from your supervisor of elections. And if you don't get something, you need to call. It's on you to do the application, and it's on you to call to find out, okay? And I say that in a good way.
If I could add one thing, that I always enjoy adding something to election experts. If you're not 18 yet, even on that October 5th, if you're not 18, but you're going to be 18 before the election, you can register to vote prior to becoming 18 years old. So if you're 17, you're going to be turning 18 soon, go ahead and register to vote. Then you're eligible to vote as soon as you turn 18. And that could be important for people that are kind of caught in the middle there. So go ahead and register to vote. Even if you're 17, I think even down as low as 16, you can register to vote, and that way you'll automatically be registered to vote as soon as you turn 18.
Thank you all. Those are great points. Oh, Micah had something to add. Yes.
It can be difficult trying to register to vote, but I just found out something that really just blew my mind and amazed me when I read it. But I know me, I love shoes with a passion. So come to find out, Foot Locker is giving people the opportunity to register to vote. So if you go to a Foot Locker in your community, they have kiosks where you can sign up to vote, or you can do it online. So that's not just for people in the Tallahassee area, but this also is for people in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, anywhere in Florida. Just look up to see if they have it. If not, you can always go on their website and they have an option for you to vote. So that's just something really nifty that I read of a couple of days ago. So, I mean, you have all type of opportunities to register if you really want to.
Yeah. Thank you, Micah. Thank you, everyone. So for the next step, so you've registered. The next step is voting, and I know this year where it's really being pushed for 3 different types of voting. There's mail-in, there's early voting, and then there's voting on the day. So let's say they want to do mail-in voting at like I plan on doing mail-in voting. What would be the steps to go about that?
Well, I'll jump in again. For registering to receive a vote by mail ballot, every county's website should definitely have a feature on there where they can go to that website and do it. It's very easy. It can be done from your cell phone as well. They can call their local supervisor of elections office and do it over the phone. And they can also send an email. So those are the 3 ways that they can contact us to receive a vote by mail ballot.
And yes, every supervisor of elections has that vote by mail option. And if you are living in Tallahassee, but you are registered to vote currently, and let's say you're from Broward, and you want to keep your Broward registration, you can do that, but you have to contact that Broward Supervisor of Elections office and get a vote by mail ballot. You got to make sure you get it in enough time to turn it around and vote it, and then make sure it arrives before 7 p.m. on November 3rd. Do not bring it to another Supervisor of Elections office, because we cannot take a vote by mail ballot from another county. It has to go to your county. You can change your address and update it by calling the Supervisor of Elections office in Leon County or Gadsden or Wakulla or Jefferson, wherever you are, and fix it, okay? And then you can go vote at the early voting locations that they're gonna have, or you can get that vote by mail ballot and turn it in to that county. But don't try to bring us a Broward or Miami vote by mail ballot on election day, which I actually had someone do this past primary. And so one of the Miami person did not go into our elections office and update her address, which she could have done, and it would have canceled that vote by mail ballot, and it would have allowed her to change her address to Leon, and she could have voted in Leon. One did not, and one did.
And let me add also that a lot of organizations are mailing out vote by mail request forms. If you mail those to our offices, we will process those request forms. Most of the requests that we have actually came from those different organizations. Now, as for Gadsden County, we do not send out vote by mail request forms to all of our voters. We do have it attached to your voter identification card, but we do not just send it out to all voters. But I can guarantee you have probably received 3 or 4 in your mailbox from different organizations, and the mailing address should have your county's mailing address. If you mail it to those counties, they will be processed and you will receive a vote by mail ballot. And
yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We get that a lot too.
And please include a phone number, very, very important. It's not mandatory to give a phone number when doing a vote by mail request, but we do use those. We can, if you forget to sign the back of your vote by mail envelope, or if by chance the signature on it does not match, if we have a phone number, we can contact you to let you know where you are in your process of your vote by mail ballot. We can let you know that the signature did not match or you forgot to sign. And we will send you an affidavit. We'll send the affidavit regardless of whether we have a phone number or not, but it is much better when we can contact you and physically speak with you to let you know where you are in your vote process. And you will have up to 2 days after the election to cure that signature, whether you forgot to sign or if it doesn't match. And so if we have a phone number, it will help us contact you. So please, please, please include a phone number. We do not give that phone number out to the public. It is not included in public record requests, and it is not given out to the candidates. It is just for the Supervisor of Elections offices to have a way to contact you about your ballot.
But thank you, Kenya. You reminded me that Leon County Supervisor of Elections did send out about 75,000 vote by mail request postcards to people who have not requested a vote by mail ballot. It's optional. You don't have to use it. In fact, you can come to an early voting location and you can cancel your vote by mail ballot at that point in time, and you can vote a regular ballot on election day. If you haven't done your vote by mail ballot yet, you have to go to your polling location and you have to vote at your polling location. You cannot turn in a vote by mail ballot at a polling location. It will not be accepted. It has to come to the election office. But if you decide you're going to vote election day and you have a request on file, that's okay, because show up at your polling location, and you can find out all this information by going to our Supervisor Elections website and click on Know Your Voter info and follow the instructions, and you will see where your polling location, and you will find out how accurate everything in the system is for you. And just know that the vote by mail is an option. It's an insurance policy in a way, so that you have 3 ways to vote: vote by mail, early voting, or election day. But you only get to vote once.
And as far as the dropping off, you can drop your ballots off at early voting sites. During early voting hours, for our county during early voting hours, you can drop your ballot off at any of our 4 early voting locations. And for Gadsden County, that is here at our Supervisor of Elections office. It is at the Havana Library, the Chattahoochee Library, and the Midway City Hall. That's our 4 locations. You can drop your ballot off at either one of those 4 locations during those hours. And early voting, well, I'll wait before we get to that because that's probably your next segment.
I was just going to say, Kenny has just jumped ahead and answered my next question already. So somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe early voting starts November 19th and ends, October 19th and ends November 1st. We've already gotten, my next question was going to be, where can they go for early voting? And Kenny's already answered that for Gadsden County. Susie, where can they go or find out where to go for early voting for Leon?
Okay, so we have 10 early voting locations. And yes, it starts October 19th and it goes through November 1st. And we have Fort Braden Community Center, Lake Jackson Community Center, Northeast Branch Library, East Side Branch Library, the Leon County Courthouse, the Election Center where the main office is, the FAMU Student Union Multipurpose Room, the Dr. B.L. Perry Branch Library, FSU Tucker Center. So those 10 locations are available for you to early vote, and the hours are 10 to 6, but the courthouse is 8 to 4, okay? So 10 to 6 at the other 9 locations, but 8 to 4 at the courthouse. And as Ms. Williams said, every one of those locations will have a staffed vote by mail drop box. And you can drive up and drop it off, and the folks will look at it for you to make sure that you have signed it and dated it and put your name on it, that you've done it properly. You keep the ballot in the envelope. We actually had a ballot mailed to us. And we got it, but we didn't know whose it was. So keep that ballot in the envelope, okay? It's why it's there when you get, it's a return envelope for you, and you put a first class stamp on it, or bring it in, bring it to one of these vote by mail drop boxes or to the election center.
Okay, Wakulla County only has one early voting site, and that is in the Supervisor of Elections office. The hours are from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and no lunch break, so anytime during the day. And actually, as I was campaigning, I was standing, you have to stand, I think, 75 feet away from the front door. I think it's 75.
150.
150 feet, whatever it was. There were signs that said no closer than this. And I was outside of that area, but I was watching, and the entire 2 weeks, approximately 2 weeks of this time frame, there was never a line that I could see outside the Supervisor of Elections office. It's a great time to come in and vote early. I am one that I kind of believe in actually going to a location and voting instead of mailing things, just because I don't trust the mail. And so I encourage everyone to come in early and vote, or vote on election day.
And vote by mail, and Kenny, you can probably say it better than me. The vote by mail ballots come in. You got a team of people who are verifying your registered voter, and they're verifying your signature, and then it goes to a whole nother team, and you get credit for voting, and then it goes to a whole nother team, and they open the ballots, and all that's open to the public, right? And then if there's an issue that the ballot, for whatever reason, maybe you messed up, that's okay, don't worry about it, as long as you make your intentions very clear, who you meant to vote for, or how you meant to vote on the constitutional amendments that are on the ballot. The canvassing board, which is a judge, And here in Leon County, it's Judge Akins. And Supervisor of Elections, Mark Early, and County Commissioner Maddox. And they review it and they recreate it. And then the corrected version of your intention goes into the tabulator. Nobody knows how you voted, but you get credit for voting.
Yes, and I just wanted to add a few things for Gadsden County. Our early voting times are Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. And then on Sundays, the 2 Sundays, it's 9 to 5. And for the signature, I wanted to hit on that a little bit. We get many calls from people and they say, I want to know if you have Susan C. Jackson or Susan B. Jackson. I want to sign the exact same way. The signature process is not that technical. We look for patterns and not exact signatures. If you sign Susan Jackson and we have Susan C. Jackson, that is not an ineligible signature. We're looking for patterns. Did you write Susan the same way? Did you write the J in Jackson the same way? And there is something that you do with your signature the same every time, unconsciously. Every time you do it the same. You may not be aware of it, but if you would go back and look at a couple of your signatures, you'll realize that there is something you do the exact same way. So we're looking for patterns more than if you left off junior, more than if you left off your middle initial. That is not an issue. Even if you had a name change, if you got married or had a name change, we look at the name that is still the same, that first name, and we look at the pattern of which you did it. Supervisor of Elections Office, we never reject ballots. We refer ballots to the canvassing board. We do not have the authority to reject the ballot. We simply refer it to the canvassing board, and the canvassing board are the ones that have to make the decision of whether to accept the ballot or reject it by majority vote. Out of those 3 people that she named, and the canvassing board is the exact same in every county because our Florida statute actually listed who the canvassing board is. It will only change if one of those people are on the ballot. Of course, they can't serve as the canvassing board, so they would have a replacement. But other than that, it's the same 3 people. It's always the county judge, the supervisor of elections office, and the chairperson of the Board of County Commissioners. And they will look at those signatures and they will determine by majority whether to count those signatures or not. But again, you have up until 2 days after the election to cure those ballots, to complete that affidavit and send us a form of ID, a copy of a form of ID to cure that ballot. So it's not just if we look at it and it doesn't match, we refer it and they just look at it. Before that happens, you have the opportunity to cure that ballot.
Wonderful.
And vote by mail works. Out of the 13,000 people that voted in Gadsden County, 5,311 of those were vote by mail ballots. They get to us, they work, they're counted. I've heard people say that they're only counted if the races are close. That's not true. They're actually counted first. We start canvassing those first. They're the first ballots that are counted, first ballots that go through the machine. We do not release the results until 7 o'clock, but many days before election day, we've already started processing those and sending them through the tabulators. So they work. And on our website, you can track pretty much on probably all of the Supervisor of Elections websites. You can track your ballot. If you go in and put your information in, it will tell you if we mailed it to you yet. It will tell you once we receive it back. So you can track your ballot. It'll tell you if there's an error with it. So you can track your ballot to know when we've sent it to you and to see if we got it back. Always follow through and make sure that we have received your ballot back. And if we have not, request another one if you're not able to make it to the polls, or simply go and vote early, or simply go and vote on election day.
Thank you. Those are all wonderful, wonderful things, some things I even learned. But the final thing to talk about is election day. Now, I'm not going to ask for every single polling location because I know you have many of those going on. And I know Susie mentioned this a little bit before, but where can they go to find out where their specific polling location is if they are going to be going to vote on November 3rd itself?
Okay, if they have a voter ID identification card, it's on their voter identification card. They can go to our website. There are actually many websites that ask for our information and we submit it to them, where voters can go on it. I'm not sure of all of those different addresses, but if they Google it, it will probably lead them to some. But definitely on their county's website, they can put their information in and it will tell them where they vote. It will let them see their sample ballot. So that's some information that they can always get from their local, whatever their county is, Supervisor of Elections office. And if none of that works, you can always give us a call. And we'll be happy to look it up for you and tell you where you should go.
Every supervisor of elections is going to be mailing out their election guide. And this one's going out beginning of October to all the Leon County registered voters. If you go to leonvotes.gov, 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 it's already up there on the website under voter education election guide. And in there, in the back, are all of the polling locations. But again, like Ms. Williams said, it's on your voter information card. And if you lost your voter information card, don't sweat it, because you can call the office and they'll send you a replacement card. You can go online to your supervisor elections website and get a replacement card. An interesting fun fact, the voter information card is not one of the IDs that you can use when you go to vote in person. You have to have a photo ID. And this is the list that we have on a frequently asked questions card. And the best form of photo ID when you vote in person is your Florida driver's license or Florida ID. If you're an out-of-state student and you registered here in Florida and in Leon, for example, you can use your student ID to vote, but you also have to have another form of approved ID that's on this list, and a charge card will work because the charge card has your signature. So your photo ID from school, your student ID from school, a charge card with your signature will allow you to vote in person. And I think on our website, probably under voter education, there is a way under vote, go to voter, then voter education, and then there's a tab that has student voter information. And I believe all of this is there for you. A military ID works. I don't think any of you guys are retired yet, but a retired center ID works. And I actually had somebody use that in 2016. I was so excited because it had the person's face and signature on it. A veteran ID, concealed weapon firearm. I think that might have your face and signature on it. An employee ID issued by a branch, department, agency, as long as it's got your face and signature.
For Wakulla County, I can't add anything to them, but I would like to add our phone, the Supervisor of Elections phone number, which is 926-7575. Give them a call. They can set you up there.
Wonderful. I want to thank you all again for coming and talking to our students. We actually have a student in here, and we'll give that student an opportunity to ask questions in a second if they have any. But before I end the recording, is there any last comments or anything anyone wants to add at all before we end this? And this is open to Micah or any of the representatives of the counties.
I just want to add, for the students that will not vote in Florida, maybe you're an out-of-state student, definitely go ahead and contact, if you're not changing your address voting in Florida, go ahead and contact whatever county you're in, go ahead and contact your elections office and request a vote by mail ballot to be mailed to you if you're not able to make it home before the election. Go ahead and get that, and as soon as you get your vote by mail ballot, try your best to vote it as soon as possible so that you will have enough time to mail it back and allow your office to receive it back. And that's for Florida or out-of-state people. I don't know the deadline for out of state for any other state, but in Florida, we have to have your ballot back by 7:00 p.m. election night. The only people that changes for are overseas voters. Overseas voters have up until 10 days after the election, but it has to be postmarked by election day. And they have 10 days after the election that they can mail theirs back. But for anyone that is not overseas, we have to have it back 7 p.m. November 3rd. So once you get your ballot, go ahead, vote that ballot, send it back. If you cannot find your ballot, if you misplace it, don't stop there. Go to one of the early voting sites if you're in Florida, and make sure that you cast your vote.
And just the new voter deadline is October 5th. And like Ms. Williams, when we started the conversation, you can update your information anytime, but a new voter deadline in order to vote on November 3rd or in any of the early voting timeframes, or even vote by mail, is October 5th.
I encourage you, don't just vote, do your research and vote. So that's my last word. Thank you. Just research and vote. And thank you for allowing us to come. It was very enjoyable. Thank you. And I did learn a few things.
And I would have to say, I would have to follow up with the same thing Mr. Brimner said. Please look into everybody that's on the ballot. Please understand where they're coming from and be a part of the change in your community.
Thank you, everyone, like, once again. And for anybody who's watching this video after the fact, if you have any questions about how to contact any of these offices, feel free to reach out to the Student Life office. We can be found at studentlife@tcc.fl.edu, or you can come by my office. We are actually also a voter registration location, and I can help you through that process of registering to vote as well. We also have a few of those packets that Susie had showed us here in the office. Thanks to our athletics department who brought them over this morning. So once again, thank you, everyone, and I hope you all have a great voter registration day.
All right, thank you.
Thank